everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. Today I'm going to chat a little bit to you about some updated thoughts on adapting books to the screen, whether that's TV or film. I made this video last year talking about the TV adaptation of The Eye of the World series by Robert Jordan by Amazon, by Prime. And I talked about how much I enjoyed it, and I just wanted to kind of continue that conversation a little bit today with two books that I've read or adaptations that I've seen since that video. So the first one is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue, and that was a film made by Netflix starring Florence Pugh. So this one I thought was really interesting as an adaptation. It had been quite a while since I'd read the book, so I knew the general plot, but I think I forgot some small details in the story. And so when I watched it, I thought, oh, that's different. I said, oh, that's different. But I don't actually know that for sure. And I think that distance is also really important when you're talking about film adaptations. There's a lot of difference between having just finished a book and then watching the adaptation so soon after, and having, you know, the span of months or years in between. So The Wonder ended up to me being a successful film. I enjoyed Florence Pugh's interpretation of the character. I think that the essence of the story was captured in the film. And the other interesting thing I'll say about The Wonder is that Emma Donoghue was part of the writing crew for the film. And I think that she then made some cinematic choices, and probably discussed those with the other writers, to create something that captured the essence of her book, but also took into account the fact that when you make something on the screen, you can't take it translate completely something in a novel to a film. It's just not necessarily completely transferable in every scenario. So I think they did an okay job with the transfer. The other book to film adaptation I wanted to talk about was Women Talking by Miriam, which was adapted for the screen by Sarah Polley, and Sarah Polley wrote it and directed and won Best Screenplay for her screenplay. Now, this was a case where I wasn't a huge fan of the book. I thought the book was good enough. But I didn't fall in love with it. I found it difficult to connect to the characters in the book. I found it difficult to get a sense of who they were completely in the book. So the book was just okay for me. But the film, in my opinion, was a masterpiece. So what I think Sarah Polley was able to do for me was take that material and clarify it, add a visual to it, and get to the heart of the story in a way that I found completely uplifting and beautiful, and improved the story by 100% for me. So in that case, I was so grateful that I got to watch the film, because it takes the book and makes me remember the book more fondly than I did previously. So, you know, there is an example of an adaptation that really worked for me, and that really enhanced the experience of the book by watching the film. Now, I'm going to talk about another adaptation that I don't think was as successful, and that is The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry, that was adapted into a 6-part miniseries by Apple TV. So starring Claire Danes and Tom Hiddleston, both of whom I really, really like as actors. But I did not like the way they changed the story. So The Essex Serpent was a novel that I very much enjoyed. I was very wrapped up in it. I actually listened to it on audio, and I was I loved the characters. I loved the relationships between the characters. That was one of the most important parts of the novel for me. I just felt like the way Sarah Perry was able to weave these beautiful characters together, and show some subtlety in life, show some of that gray area that is so important, with not a straightforward love story, and really, you know, creating a sense of realism to the story, but also there's a supernatural element, but the supernatural element is explained and everything kind of comes out in the wash, but everything also doesn't end with a beautiful bow wrapped around it and a perfect love story at the end. The Essex Serpent miniseries did not do that. It very much added in a lot of element of suspense, trying to make it into more of a thriller than it actually was. This sense of foreboding that I think was in the novel, but just didn't translate well into the miniseries. I also found that the characters were not as rounded or as complex as they were in the novel, and their motivations became very strange, and they completely changed the ending. They also completely shifted some of the characters and their outcomes, which I thought just detracted from the overall sense of the book. The themes in the book, the things that I liked about the book, were things that the adaptation eliminated or glossed over or just didn't bring out at all. And so this was a very close, like, I've read The Essex Serpent this year and then I watched the miniseries. So this was a really close read to watching the film for me. And I'm sure that that had something to do with why I didn't like the adaptation, but I think the other reason is they just didn't get the essence of that story for me. I got quite frustrated. I found that the methods they used to get kind of more tension in the story were kind of cheap and not worthy of the level of sophistication that the novel had. And so I didn't think it was a good adaptation. And so I really enjoy watching adaptations, and I even do things in reverse. So I'll watch a film and then I'll read the book after. Not for everything, but for a lot of things. But I think that one of the most important things that someone can do when they're creating an adaptation of a novel is to try to get the essence of that, the feel and the essence of the story right. And if you can do that, if you can get the essence of the story right, then I will appreciate your adaptation. But if you change that essence into something more palatable for the general public, I don't think I'm gonna like it. So this was just a little ramble about adaptations. If you have any thoughts on them yourself, I would love to hear them. I think that like everything else, adaptations of certain novels to the screen are always subjective. I will be back again soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.